If you've been watching AMD's stock lately, you know it's been a wild ride. We've seen some serious fireworks. It's really become this classic tug of war between this incredibly powerful upward momentum and then a sudden sharp pullback. So what's really going on behind the scenes? Okay, let's dive into the technical signals and decode this whole battle.
Just a little while back, the story was all about one thing: pure, raw strength. The stock was on an absolute tear, building what looked like a totally unstoppable wave of bullish momentum. Every single sign was pointing straight up.
And this was the peak, 240.1, the absolute summit that the stock reached in its recent surge, a brand new record that had investors feeling, well, pretty fantastic.
But then, just like that, the script completely flipped. Almost as fast as it climbed, the stock slammed into a wall and reversed course, and it reversed hard. This sudden drop created a ton of noise and uncertainty, and that's exactly what we need to unpack.
And this is where it closed, 214.9. Now that is a significant drop from the peak, and it shows you just how intense the volatility is right now. So the big question is, right, was this just a temporary speed bump, or is this the start of a bigger downturn?
To answer that, you really have to zoom out. Because even with that sharp drop, the foundation for AMD stock is still built on some serious long-term strength. So let's start by looking at the case for the bulls.
And honestly, this quote from the analysis really just says it all. When you step back from the day-to-day chaos, the main prevailing direction is still very clearly upward. This right here, this is the bedrock of the entire bullish argument.
This chart visualizes that trend perfectly. I want you to think of the moving averages, the 50-day and the 200-day, as a kind of deep ocean current. As you can see, the current price is swimming way above that long-term flow. It's a classic sign of a really strong, well-established uptrend.
And there's more proof of the momentum behind that trend. The MACD, it's essentially a momentum gauge for the stock. A strongly positive number, like 15.019, suggests that the engine driving the stock higher is still running strong. So yeah, the bulls clearly have a very solid case.
But, and this is a big but, it is not that simple. While that long-term picture looks pretty rosy, you've got several short-term indicators that are flashing some pretty clear warning signs. And this is where the pressure from the bears is really starting to build.
Okay, before I just throw a number at you, let's quickly define a crucial tool we use here, the RSI. It's a little oscillator that goes from 0 to 100, and its entire job is to tell us if a stock has moved too far, too fast, signaling that it might be overbought and due for a little cool down, or oversold and maybe due for a bounce.
And here is AMD's RSI, 68.58. Now typically, a reading over 70 is considered overbought. So while it's not officially in the red zone, you can see it's getting very close. Think of it like a car's tachometer. The needle is pushing right up against the red line, which suggests the engine is working really hard.
And the RSI isn't alone here. Other momentum indicators are basically singing the same tune. The stochastic oscillator, which also measures momentum, is at 87.2. That's deep in overbought territory. On top of that, the price is trading right near its upper Bollinger Band. Think of those bands as a channel the price usually stays inside. When it hits the top of that channel, it often acts like a resistance ceiling. So when you put them all together, these signs are all pointing to some short-term exhaustion.
So we've got a strong long-term trend fighting against short-term exhaustion. This conflict doesn't just happen randomly, it plays out at very specific price levels. So let's look at the battlefield map, so to speak, and see exactly where those lines are drawn.
Think of these numbers as the key lines in the sand. At the top, you've got the ceiling, or the resistance, which is that recent high of 240.1. Then, the first floor of support is sitting right around 219.7. If that floor breaks, the next major support level is down around 199.8. This is where the battle's going to be won or lost.
And watching how the price reacts at those key levels, that's what's going to tell us which side is winning this tug of war. And based on that, we can map out two very distinct potential futures for the stock in the immediate term.
So here are the two scenarios, side by side. On the bullish path, buyers step in and they defend that 219.70 support level. If they succeed, their next goal is to push back up and eventually re-challenge that 240.1 high. But on the bearish path, if the price breaks below that deeper 199.80 support, it's a signal that the sellers are in control, and the next target could be way down around the 185 mark.
So what does this all mean for the immediate future?
Well, when you have a strong trend meeting some pretty strong headwinds, the one thing you can absolutely count on is more of what we've just been seeing: volatility. Big price swings are very likely to be the name of the game for a bit.
And to put an actual number on that volatility, we can use a tool called the Average True Range, or ATR. It's a simple tool that measures how much a stock typically moves in a day. It gives us a practical, data-driven expectation for the daily trading range.
Based on the current ATR of about 11.88, we can project a potential range for the next trading day. Now, this isn't a prediction, it's a statistical probability. It suggests the price could swing as high as 226.78 or as low as 203.02. That is a huge range, and it perfectly captures the current state of play.
And that brings us to the final critical question. You have this powerful, long-term bullish current running right into a wall of short-term exhaustion. So will the underlying strength of the bulls be enough to power through all this? Or is a cooldown just inevitable? Well, the answer is going to be written on the battlefield, at those key price levels we just mapped out.